Sorry. Good evening. I hereby call to order the public hearing for the fiscal year 2023 Triton annual budget. My name is Linda Lakowski. This meeting is being audio and video recorded. This hearing is for the committee to listen to comments from the public on the fiscal year 2023 tentative budget that the district has been working toward since the beginning of the year. A copy of the tentative budget can be found on the district budget section of the website in our having mask problem. A copy of the tentative budget can be found on the district budget section of the website in our board docs agenda or in the hard copy at the library entrance. I'm going to hand it over to the school district administrator, Kyle Warren, to go through the high points of the document prior to accepting comments.
All right. Oops, sorry about that. So I'll give a quick 5-minute refresher of the document, if that's helpful. So this is set up in the typical format that we look at every year. Starting on page 1 of the document is where we're giving a summary of the changes from the prior year. That's going to be the FY22 final adjusted budget that was approved by the committee in December of 2021. Right at the top of that, page 1, we start off with the total salary changes. That's going to include the cost of living adjustments, the steps, as well as projected column movement. Those figures are pretty consistent with prior years. One item that is different, certainly this year, is the FY23 collective personnel savings. $323,000 worth of savings there. That's going to be the result of the significant turnover that we've experienced over the last 2 years. Folks who have retired or moved on from the district, and then the staff members who we are hiring to replace those individuals. They were lowered on the collective bargaining agreements. Looking at the benefit changes, right now we're expecting an approximate $200,000 savings on health and dental insurance. Not set in stone right now, but we're assuming as part of this budget a 0% renewal for medical plans and a 7.3% decrease to dental premium costs. Included in that, compounding that savings, is the fact that we've had reduced participation in our plans over the last few years as well. Programming changes, and then new at the second page there, we detail the new strategic spending. $836,000 worth of new programs that we're proposing. Those were reviewed by the principals and administrators during the 3 nights of budget presentations. Then making our way to page 3, there's a summary of the revenue sources to finance the budget, looking at the other general fund revenues. We're expecting an increase of state transportation of $55,000. That's a reimbursement from the state, and then an increase of Chapter 70 of $66,000 for a total of $121,000 of new revenues. The balance of that, of the budget, is supported by our member communities. That operating assessment is allocated to the member communities on a 2-step process. The first is we take the minimum local contributions from the state. That's assigned directly to each of those communities, and then the balance is allocated based on the student enrollment from the October of 2021 report. Something worth highlighting there is the fact that because of the shifts in enrollment, Salisbury is seeing a more favorable change in their assessment as opposed to Newbury and Rowley. Because of the shifts in enrollment, they're getting an increased portion of the operating assessment. And then if we go to page 7 and 8, there's a summary of the budget, the $47,548,310. It's allocated, or broken out rather, by function and location, as well as there's a history there of prior year actual costs for comparative purposes. Starting on page 9 of the document is going to be a breakout of the current year budget by school location. At the bottom of each school location sheet, each school has about 2 pages worth of budget information. At the bottom of that page there's going to be footnotes describing the significant increases over the prior year. And then worth highlighting on the district-wide sheet is there's certain costs that during the budget process we assign to the district-wide location, such as the cost of living adjustments, the column movement, and then in the March final budget, we'll allocate those cost of living adjustments and salary changes to the individual lines. And then further on in the document are various supporting schedules. There's an FTE count, a listing of all the various positions in the district. There's a sheet that shows the calculation of medical and dental premiums, how we arrived at those figures. And then at the very back is a summary of all the various revolving funds that the district currently has in operation, what our anticipated budget for those operations are next year, and then finally a listing of all the current year grants. And I think I kept that to 5 minutes, maybe. We'll see.
Now we will accept testimony. Members of the public may address the committee for up to 3 minutes on the topic of the budget. Please make sure that you state your name and address for the record and speak clearly so that the committee can hear you. In public hearings, the committee does not respond or engage in discussion. Would anybody like to address the committee?
Good evening. My name is Jim Moran, 104 Elm Street in Byfield. I've reviewed your budget, but more importantly to me today is the budgets are difficult and financial statements are next to impossible to understand. Good business practices predicate those budgets be all-inclusive in total. The best information I have from the current audits is fiscal year 20, and your governmental expenditures, the expenses then, was about $64 million. To bring it current, and the average for the past audits for the previous 6 years, it looks like about a $6 million increase per year. That doesn't necessarily mean that for 21 or 22 or 23 that would be the figure, but that being said, it would seem to me your expenses could certainly be pushing $70 million. And Brian can help us out here if necessary. But what I'm trying to get at is I'm looking for, and I'm asking for the committee to consider putting a total budget together that covers your governmental activities. Keep in mind, that figure could be for the 23 budget. That's what we're considering today. Could be a $70 to $80 million bill. The operating portion of that is $48 million. That means that your operations is maybe 60% of the total government activities expenses. So the remaining difference that the public does not see could easily be another $30 million. Most people who pick up your budget look at $48 million and feel this is what the district is spending $50 million. In fact, they're not. Their expenditures are somewhere probably between $70 and $80 million. So I think it's a reasonable request. I think it's for the benefit of the people. Again, I don't think it's a difficult task. I've been able to rough in numbers. They can't be accurate because I don't have the current information. I think last year's numbers you probably already have in hand for expenses, but close to June of last year. This current year, 22, those numbers will probably be available. Brian probably, with estimates for the next 3 months, could have a reasonable number. Based on those two numbers, you certainly could forecast what your budget would be in 23. I think this would be huge for the community to publish this, put it in the newspapers, and tell the people the total story and not just part of the story. I've gone through the audits. I won't bore you with the information, but I do have some homework for you tonight, if you could please be attentive to my request. So the reading for tonight's homework assignment is found in the fiscal year 20 audit, page 7 of 44, second paragraph. The test on this assignment will be placed over the years to come. Hold on to your hats. These numbers, as you're probably aware, going through the roof. We've also got a bonus for your homework credit to be given for those who read the 5th paragraph on the same page. A question for tonight: does the district have a plan to get out from under the gallons of red ink that they presently have?
You have to wrap it up, please.
Okay. Are there any questions? No questions? Are there any answers? Okay. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Have a good night.
Thank you. Does anybody else would like to address the committee? Okay. I will now close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Can I ask for an opportunity to just respond, because there's some very factually inaccurate information that was just shared? Is that possible, that the hearing is closed?
I would be happy to hear that.
Okay, so Jim and I have had lots of emails along with Kyle with regard to the information he's referencing is in the audit. The audit, and again, Kyle could do a 20-minute spiel on the audit. It's all governmental funds. Included in that is on behalf payments. We pay, so any payments that are made by the state. You know there's no cost, for an example, there's no cost to the district for the other half of all teachers' pensions. So I pay 11% into my pension. The state matches my 11%. That's an on-behalf payment that shows up in the audited financial statements. I know you're nodding, you know this. That is not being charged to the towns of Newbury, Rowley, Salisbury, so it is not an accurate picture of a cost that's being passed on to the towns. The Essex Regional Retirement, that's in the budget, $1.4-ish million in the 5,500 section of the district line. That is the other half of anyone who pays into Essex Regional Retirement System. The district does bear the cost of that. That is in the budget. So the $47.54 million that is represented in this document is the amount of money that is passed along to the district, to the member towns. The information, the other corresponding piece of that is grants and special revenue accounts. Those accounts at the back by law cannot be part of the budget that you pass along to the member towns. We report all the grants, we report all the revenues in the revolving accounts, and we give you general information because we think it's important for you to know that. Certainly happy, Kyla would love to sit and go through all of those accounts with anyone who would like to sit and talk about all those. There's nothing hidden, there are no floated numbers. Gonna leave it at that.
Thank you. We have a motion to adjourn. Can we have a second?
A second.
All those in favor? Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you. We have a DCC meeting tomorrow night here at 6:30.